things like holding our breath, Kate Winslet held her breath for 7 minutes.
Avatar 2: The Way of Water is finally here. The next installment of this epic story was an epic challenge to make for everyone involved. Stick around for all the goods. Number 1. We knew it was coming.
It's called The Way of Water, you know you're gonna get wet.
You might be hard-pressed to put it better than these words from actor Sam Worthington. Sam wasn't sure what he was getting into when he was asked to be a part of the film, but he knew it would be challenging, and he knew there was going to be a lot of work in the water. He wasn't wrong. Worthington explained that doing all of that acting while holding his breath underwater was brutal. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to do. You're dealing with the restrictions of freediving, the constraints of motion capture underwater, and you're trying to keep an emotional journey going while you're innately struggling with the fear of dying. Number 2. What took them so long? It's been a while since the release of the first Avatar film, and there was always a plan for a sequel, so what was the holdup? To put it simply, Avatar 2 took forever because James Cameron had to make sure Avatar 4 was ready to shoot. Not something you hear very often, right? Avatar 2 producer Jon Landau said that we did not have to hold here for technology. I think the first Avatar proved to us that we could be the impetus to push technology to where we needed it to go. Landau clarified that the delays happened because the filmmaking team was determined to get the scripts for all 4 planned Avatar sequels written and finalized before shooting for Avatar 2 even started. Landau said, "We felt that this project was about getting the story right. You would never build a house until you had the blueprint to build from. The scripts are that blueprint, so we wanted to wait till all 4 of those were there." Number 3. Avatar 2 is already a record breaker, and not in the ways you might think. The Way of Water takes us below the surface of Pandora for quite a long time, and this fantastical journey takes on a new level of realism when you realize the actors are usually performing underwater and holding their breath for some record-setting times. According to one of the film's freediving instructors, Kate Winslet has a beastly 7-minute, 15-second breath hold, which is impressive. This broke a previous actor's record set by Tom Cruise during his 6-minute underwater sequence for Mission Impossible: Rogue Nation. Number 4. We want it, we don't want it, we want it. Director James Cameron struggled with cutting things out of the film, and with tension around the final duration of the movie. Sam Worthington describes the film as 2 hours and 76 minutes long, and however you count it, you might say that's on the lengthy side. Director James Cameron recalled, "I think there was a lot of tension around the length, because it's a complicated linear narrative, which is the worst case scenario to try to cut short. One of the hardest parts of trying to shorten a movie is keeping things that don't advance the plot but are beautiful, scary, or suspenseful on their own." Cameron explained, "We could take things out, and then if I felt the rhythm wasn't right, we could put things back in place." Number 5. No, it's not an evil genius secret weapon. Underwater cameras normally have a hard time capturing images with the quality we would expect from a big-budget Hollywood-style film. For Avatar 2: The Way of Water, a special camera system needed to be invented. This was because so much of the film takes place underwater, and because the actors would actually be performing underwater. You might think it sounds like a device from the world of Avatar, but this special camera is called the Deep X Beam Splitting Rig. Even with this special camera system, using lenses designed specifically for filming underwater, the production had an additional problem. There were bubbles forming on the lenses. Number 6. No bubbles, please. Avatar 2 actor Kate Winslet explained that the underwater motion capture process was extra difficult for both the motion capture system as well as the actors, because the actors were not allowed to breathe out. Kate explains,
"Then you have a helmet with a helmet cam that can see every single movement and muscle and twitch and flicker on your face."
She added,
"You're holding your breath, you can't release your bubbles, otherwise it's just a bubbly old mess and the camera doesn't see anything."
Which would mean having to redo the take, which is a little more complicated than usual when you are 20 feet underwater.
It was, a lot to learn.
Number 7. How do you not look like a blowfish? Looking back, Sam Worthington expressed some of the actors' concerns when they were approaching the challenge of filming so many underwater scenes for Avatar 2: The Way of Water. The challenge was not necessarily holding their breath underwater for so long, but getting any effective acting done while doing so.
Action, that's Jim's wheelhouse. It's how do you do emotion underwater? How do you look at each other with such love when you're 20 feet under the water.
Number 8. These actors got all trained up. While Avatar 2 might have seen very long delays in production, sometimes an undertaking as big as making these movies just takes a long time. Part of the long preparation was the extensive training the actors had to go through before they could safely, or even effectively, begin shooting the story. Actor Zoe Saldana said,
He had us working with like world-renowned freedivers for weeks on end.
The actress added,
We were holding our breaths and really getting our bodies acclimated to the water and to the kind of depth that we were going to be shooting in.
It turned out the training wasn't only effective and allowed for the magic of the story to come to life, but provided some pleasant surprises for the cast as well.
We managed to break records even for ourselves that we never thought we would do.
Number 9. These two go way back. Avatar 2 director James Cameron has worked with Kate Winslet before. Cameron directed Winslet in the film Titanic, and Kate has spoken publicly about her struggles with James and the harsh shooting conditions. Speaking about her experience on the epic movie, Winslet called Cameron a really tough nut to crack, adding, "There were times I was genuinely frightened of him." Kate has also said, "He has a temper like you wouldn't believe. You'd have to pay me a lot of money to work with Jim again." So it may have been a surprise to hear that she was working with him again on Avatar 2. James suggested that Winslet was willing to work with him again because she had something to prove to herself. Number 10. Mirror, mirror on the ceiling? Avatar 2: The Way of Water uses a motion capture system to capture the physical performances of the actors and bring their animated characters to life. This motion capture system relies on many cameras, being able to see the actors and track the movements of small markers worn on the actors' bodies and faces. One of the challenges of working underwater with this is that the surface of the water, when viewed from both above and below, forms a moving mirror. Director James Cameron explains that moving mirror reflects all the dots and markers, and it creates a bunch of false markers. It's a little bit like a fighter plane dumping a bunch of chaff to confuse the radar system of a missile. To address this problem, the team discovered that they could pour thousands of plastic balls into the pool to cover the surface of the water, without preventing the actors or the crew from being able to surface when and if they needed to. Avatar 2: The Way of Water sounds like it was immensely challenging to make, but also like it was a rewarding process. So what do you think? What would be the hardest part for you in making Avatar 2? Let us know in the comments below.